Welcome back to another fabulous intro. I'm Jay Books Corner, and today we're doing my November wrap-up. In November, I read a total of 11 books, all pretty good. Let's see here. We had 1 2-star, 6 3-stars, all ranging from just a solid 3 to a 3.75, 2 4-stars, 2 5-stars, and 1 DNF. We're gonna go from beginning to end and so forth. So let's go ahead and talk about A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing. I read this for a 5-star prediction video that's not out yet because I ended up changing the second book in that 5-star prediction video, and so I'm reading the second book, or I'm going to be starting it here relatively soon, so then that video will come out in December. With that being said, with that, I don't really want to spoil what my rating was, but I can tell you some brief thoughts just because it is going to be popping up in that video, and there's a few extra ones in here as well. Honestly, I'm not going to really talk about ratings super duper much, so if you're like, oh, I want to know what your rating is, it is on Goodreads. You can go find my Goodreads page. It's linked down below, and go find it if you're super curious. I don't think it's necessary. I can tell you if I vibed. I didn't vibe that much. I can tell you this much. It probably didn't hit that 5-star mark. Probably wasn't one of those in this regard. Honestly, you'll find out because the 2 5-stars I didn't do for a video, so I'm totally gonna talk about them with you and in their fully details. With this one, A Twisted Love Story, it follows a man and a woman who are in this very toxic romance with one another. Cops get involved. There might be a murder. It's Samantha Downing. It has her twisted humor that she really likes in all of her books. I just really felt like there could have been more to this, and I had a very similar idea. My thoughts were basically the same I had for Your Own Darlings, or whatever it was called, the one she released 2 years ago. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's move on. The next, I can tell you my ratings, but they are in a video. I can link you over to it. I read the last 3 books in the Magic Stream series by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. So we have The Bronze Key, and then we also have the 2 sequels, which are The Silver Mask and The Golden Tower. They all basically equaled out to be a 3.5 or a 3.75. And in that video there are spoilers, but there's a non-spoilery section in that video as well, in case you want a basic idea of what the books are about. But you do get my full opinions of the novels, and also in that video I do tell you if the series is recommendable or not, so in case you guys are curious. But overall, the first book, The Iron Trials, is about our guy Cal here. He learns that he might be the son of a super mass murder mage person, and then he has his 2 friends with him, Tamara and Alex, and it's about their journey and him trying to figure out if he's good or bad. And that's what the majority of the series is about, with a lot of other twists and turns. I'm not mad that I read them. Obviously, Cassandra Clare, as maybe you can tell, is one of my favorite authors of all time. She has written my favorite series of all time called Shadowhunters, and I'm obsessed with that series. I love it so much. We'll talk about next month, don't get me wrong. Because I love it so much, Shadowhunters, I want to read everything that she's ever written. Part of that series was this. Holly Black and I have an interesting relationship because I don't love everything Holly Black reads, but I've read quite a few Holly Black books. So I do think I can say that she's a mid-author for me, nothing spectacular. You can come out with a hit, but she can also come out with a dud. Whereas Cassandra Clare is normally a 4 onwards. I think if maybe these were written for young adults instead of wide teens, I think they could have probably been better, but that was not the point of the series. I understand. That's okay. And that covers for us. So if I tell you what my thoughts and opinions on each of these individually, it's spoilers. We're gonna move on. The next one I read was a book that I got, my mom got me, so thank you, Mom, which I'm so excited about to own, and that is Pretty Boys Are Poisonous by Megan Fox. Obviously, she bought it from Target. I've been looking for this book nonstop since it came out in the middle of October, and actually, fun fact, I read this on Spotify because their Spotify Premium, you get 15 hours if you either have a Spotify Premium account or if you are the head of a Spotify Premium, family account. And so I read this over there. It's a 40-minute audiobook. It was beautiful. It was heart-wrenching, very gut-punching. It really made me think a lot about Colson Baker. And probably not in the best way. She just talked about how she has no ill will, but how could you not with the things that were done in this novel? This whole book was written because of him, and it's very exquisitely told. And this isn't like some of the other poetry books that I've read where it's oh, this book is written, about a bunch of different stories. No, these are very much her stories, and she's telling them in these beautiful, sometimes very short, sometimes long poems that are gut-wrenching and graphic and triggering and beautiful and everything I wanted from this poetry collection. This was a 5. Could not recommend enough, to be honest with you. Probably one of my favorite books I read this year, but I only allow normally 1 poetry collection to sneak into that 10 top favorites, so we'll see if it makes the cut. That being said, moving on down, let's quickly talk about the first 3 books in the Percy Jackson series. So I am 4 books into Percy Jackson, reading the 4th one as we speak. So we have The Lightning Thief, The Sea of the Monsters, and then The Titan's Curse. I'll plug all 3 covers. Once again, I'm not going to tell you my ratings for these. I can tell you they range between a 3 and a 4, but I'm not going to tell you which ones are which. That meaning there is one that's a 3, there's one that's a 4, and then there's one that's, you know, somewhere in between there, or maybe another 3 or maybe another 4. That's all I can really tell. Because I do want to keep it a surprise because this video is coming out really, really soon. Part of the reason why I'm reading them so quickly is because the video will see the light very soon. A lot of these videos for Percy Jackson, if you guys did not see my reaction, I'll link you to it. I announced I'm going to be reading Cope We the entire series the month of December. That has not changed. I'm still trudging along. I have probably like the first 9 of them out, and so we're trying. We're doing the damnedest. That being said, I'm really liking the series of Percy Jackson. I'm having a fun time with it. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever read based off those ratings. I think you can understand that. But I'm very invested and I want to know where these characters are going, and I have a lot of questions, and I think Greek mythology, nonetheless, is fun to talk about and to read about. I have to say though, because these videos that I'm doing for Percy Jackson are pretty spoilery filled, I don't have a lot of spoilery opinions on them, which I find to be really interesting. The first 2, I remember the movie quite a bit, and so like I talk about that in that video, and so I think that also played a factor into it. But this third one, I also didn't have like a lot to talk about except for the big points that I think everybody's talked about. I don't think I have anything nuanced to bring to the conversation, which is different, something I've never like really thought about before. Because even like when I was doing all of these books and stuff, people talked about all of these books behind me so much, and yet like Throne of Glass, those books have like, those are hour-long quarterly reading vlogs for all those books. So like, it's very interesting. Maybe it's because the way I'm doing it, maybe because I'm not doing like a vlog, I'm doing a sit-downy chatty type of thing. You'll find out when it comes out. But that being said, I'm enjoying them. I don't love them, I don't hate them, but I think they're very good, and I'm happy I'm on this journey with Percy Jackson. With that being said, the series as follows. Percy Jackson, as he soon realizes he is a half-blood, both part of a god from Greek mythology and a human. His mom ended up having sex with a god, and he was born. And the first book is him getting to this camp and having to go on this quest. And that's all I'll really say about the series. I do recommend if you're interested, at least at this point, and we'll see as we continue onwards. All right, moving on, we have A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I will tell you my rating for this one. It was a 3 out of 5 stars. This is for a video that I'm doing. I posted a reaction. I'll put that one up in the cards too, with the TBR of the 23 books I need to read in 2023. I'm going through that backlog and filming a video about it, and this will be in that video. This one follows a girl who has to go home to help her mother, where it seems like her mother might be going crazy or something out of those lines, and it might be a haunted house. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. I had guessed a lot of twists and stuff. My realization with this book, I have just learned that T. Kingfisher, I think I like more in a fantastical fairy tale setting, not in a real life, like modern setting, because that really was like one of my bigger issues with this book is the setting and the characters, and I just didn't. I had some mixed thoughts and opinions, and I do explain them in that video, so we'll continue onwards. That being said, we have the next one, which is Brothers and Sisters Enter the Forest, also read for this video. This is my first DNF of, well, one of my first few DNFs of the entire year, but the first DNF for this video. I have a feeling there might be another one. I got it in my bones. But that being said, Brothers and Sisters Enter the Forest, about 2 siblings who end up going through a very traumatic event, having to go on the run. I didn't actually get to the point of where they went on the run. I got to the point of the traumatic event, and I DNF'd it because to me, personally, in the headspace I'm in currently, headspace I've been in for a few days now, and also where I think December is leading and things, I'm very excited for December for a lot of reasons, but December is a very tricky month for me personally, mentally, and this book was not helping. It was not furthering it. And if I've learned anything by reading A Little Life by Hanya Nagara, is if you feel like you're going into like a depression, don't read a book that puts you there. It's just not worth it. And so that's Brothers and Sisters Enter the Forest. And moving on. The next one I read, Grey's Anatomy's Hard Day Night, written by Shonda Rhimes and Peter Jackson. This is the pilot script. I got this for Christmas quite a few years ago. It's signed by all the cast, which is really cool. But I was doing it for a project that I thought I was going to start in December that I've now pushed to probably I'm going to do it in April for camp next year. Or I'm going to try to write a pilot script for a book that I wrote a long time ago that I think has a place on TV, not on a book near you. So that's essentially what this was for. I liked it. I loved it. It's a pilot of one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So yeah, it was a 5. That's what that was. Alright, and then lastly, the last book that I read for the month of November was the first book in the Walking Dead series, and this is called Days Gone By. I read the first 6 volumes, I think. I've never read anything past the first 6 volumes. I thought this was very fun. It was a 4-star. I had a lot of extra fun thoughts that I didn't realize, and it's inspired me to make a video of me reading the entire thing in once, like, with you guys. So that's coming way into next year. Like, I don't know when, but way into next year. I'm really liking it, though. It was a 4-star. I would recommend the Walking Dead if you're interested. It's very different from the TV show, while also keeping the same authenticity and vibes that I think if you like the TV show, you'll probably like the comic more. I also find that especially as the book progresses, if you want a darker story, and if you are too that gets bored during the run of one of the infamous villains from the series, I don't want to spoil anything as you've never seen The Walking Dead. I do think the comic books I've heard do it better. So it might be a good place to go in case The Walking Dead disappointed you in regards of that storyline. I'm going to say seasons 6 through 8. If you were mad at those particular seasons and you got excited when season 9 started because it introduced a whole new range of anti-heroes or villains. Yeah, villains. I think the comics would do you justice. There's 192 issues of them. It comes out to be 17 or 20, no, like 30 volumes or something like that. It might be worth the read, and it could definitely plus your reading goal for the year. With that being said, those are the 11 books that I read in November. I'm not mad with this. I wrote 50,000 words, so me reading 11 books, especially because I couldn't read for the first really 17 days of the month, because the first book that I did finish will pop up in my Nano vlog. The first book that I did finish in November for Nanowrimo, I really couldn't read at all. I just really had to be focused into that story, and I couldn't really dabble into anything else. So I'm really proud with my 11 books. Next month, it's probably be a much higher number. On average, I normally read around 40 books in December. 35 to 40 books is my normal average for a December month. So we will see as the month progresses. That being said, thank you guys so much for joining. Let me know what videos you want to see from me at the end of the year. What are you excited for? What was your favorite book and least favorite book of the month? Of course, were you happy with the number? Did you read one book? Did you read 40 books? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to know. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.